Well, I don't know when I'm going to be doing this one, as in putting it into a video. Had this and another figure for probably 6 to 12 months. The other figure, when my wife changed my room around, I have no idea where it's gone. So this is Captain Cassian Andor, and it's the Iadu, can never pronounce it, figure. So when he's in all the Parker and all that stuff. So the idea with this was always, I enjoy my Star Wars. It's one of the few things, you know, I like Lord of the Rings, things like that. And you know, I'm a mad Harry Potter buff. Yeah, I know, 55 Harry Potter. What are you thinking about, Gav? Well, if you explore the actual universe, like the Star Wars universe, there's lots to enjoy in there. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Star Wars. So saw the first Star Wars originally in '77. I was a youngster. I never saw any of them after that until I saw them on the TV in the good old Christmas things that we used to have over here. You know, they put a big one on for Christmas, and it was the different Star Wars ones. Didn't enjoy the prequels with you know, the droids and all that type of stuff. The ones that were brought out in, was it 99, 2000, something like that. I've read a couple of the books and I just couldn't get a feel for it, really. I am more in the days of the Empire. Although you often have people going into, they class themselves as Imperials or Rebels. I actually like the scum and the scoundrels. I like the bounty hunters and all the different people that are on the one side, on the edge of the law type of thing. You know, all the if you'd never had problems, Gav. Smugglers, thank you. We got there in the end. Anyway, I'm digressing as I normally do. Sorry about the shaky cam. It's late at night, and I just watched somebody's video, and it reminded me. Well, actually, I saw Mars's video earlier on, a couple of days ago or a day ago, and he'd done a repaint of an R2-D2 radio control thing. Well, my idea was always to repaint these figures. I know I'm not going to do much about the arms, you know, they're posing action figures at the end of the day. I haven't got any type of fancy. You can buy resin heads for them, but they're costly, and you've got to know who to go to get them and all that, and I don't. So it will be doing the best I can with the face we've got. So the entire figure is going to be repainted. I'm going to give it tonight a rub down, sand down. I'm not interested in taking all. I'm not even sure how they do these, if they're painted on or if it's impregnated into the plastic. I think it's just painted on by the look of it. So I will probably just give it at least for this one, to see how it goes. I'll give it a sand down, just a sand over, get rid of any seam lines I can. It's obviously softer, rubbery plastic stuff, so it may be harder to remove. And then I'll give it a prime with a lacquer primer. Hopefully that'll stick on it. We'll mount him on. I think they do come on standing bases, I think, but try and mount him so I can. It's rigid when I'm painting him, and I'll paint him in probably said pose. Yeah, I just fancied. I know people do repaint them, or repaint. They mainly do the faces, but some people do repaint them. That's probably sacrilege to collectors, but there's millions of them out there. I'm sure you wouldn't begrudge me sacrificing this one to my paintbrush, and just hope to give it a different look. So yeah, put this video up together now. It probably won't go up on the channel for a while, because I'll probably present you with the painted figure, but I just thought I'd quickly talk to the camera as I was about to do some photographs with it. Well, the die is cast, I believe, for Cassian. I'm taking a command decision, and I'm going to turn him into a statue. What could possibly go wrong? We have milliput. We have lots of armature leg debris to fill. As I say, for the action hero lovers out there, he's not necessarily going to be an action hero anymore, but I just thought I'm going to have him pointed with his head that direction. This is removable. and I'll paint that separately, and I'll do some, when I've done him all up, we'll have him with a, you know, that can go back on or whatever. He's got these obviously other pistol I've just put in his holster for now. You got the is it a Storm? I can never remember the different terminology. I should do the amount of Star Wars books I've got. Anyway, that's my decision. How I'm going to actually paint him, I'm not sure. He's got 2 holes at the base, which I'll take it for magnets if you want to, or maybe there's special stands you can buy for them. I didn't even own Star Wars. To say I enjoyed Star Wars as a kid, you know, money weren't always there, so I never actually had any Star Wars figures. Although I did have a Star Wars blaster, one of the Stormtrooper ones, which was obviously an old British Sterling submachine gun that they'd mucked around with. Anyway, trivia out the way. So yeah, we're going to, I'm not going to do under there, because I don't believe, one, it can't be seen, and I think I'm just going to mess that up really. Might do, we'll see. But we'll see how these joints take to being filled. Hello Tubesters, it's next day. Obviously that's as far as I've got really with the filling. Replaced some of the, we'll call it decoration, or, you know, embellishments on the Parker. Got to do this side yet. As I say, I don't think I'm sure if I said it the day before, or the night before. I used super glue gel, just banged it in, and some Zappa just to get it off quick. Just to stop some movement. There's still some slight movement in the torso. I'm not that fussed about that. It's not going to do any damage. So we've used Milliput, which I showed earlier. Milliput, that's just the standard stuff. You can get finer grades as well. I've got other stuff like Magic Sculpt. I've noticed on the film stills, maybe the collar might be very slightly taller in the film, so I'm going to leave that like it is, I think, for now. This is my first attempt at doing anything like this, so let's not make it too overly complicated. So yeah, I've just been filling in, so that's like statue now. I got some spare late last night, and I thought, well, let's start wadging it in here. I think that's a technical term. So I've had to get the camera at the edge of the desk if I want to use a tripod. So there's very, very slight movement in the shoe. I didn't get much super glue in there. It does take a fair amount up, and I didn't want to use too much. Super glue is just to hold it in place while I do my filling, because once this goes off, it'll go off rock solid, so shouldn't need too much. Put some around under the chin, get that filled up. There's the odd mould line, but I don't want to take those back until I've actually got everything filled and everything solid. It should be a fun little project, because there's, I mean, that in a way, I mean, they're giving you some texture, so to apply it with your brush as well, I think it should come up quite nice. Put some textures into the jacket maybe. I think I was looking at other figures, not that I intend to buy any at the moment until this one's done, but I feel like some of them where they've got more of the jumpsuit, well, I'm saying this is probably a jumpsuit as well, but you know, when they're a bit more tighter, the legs obviously can get quite spindly, and without a long jacket, you're still going to have to put like a bomb, for want of a better word, on it. So if I go down the road of one of those type of figures, that's something I've got to look at in the future. As I say, I know there's probably the action figures out there, lovers, that it's probably sacrilege to do this, but to me it's just custom, it's customizing. You've got a chance to have a small statue, and that isn't going to cost a lot of money, so I just think that's a way to go. So the tools, I'll just quickly show you the tools if you want to do this yourself. These are clay shapers. They come in a packet of about 5 or 6. Let's have a crinkly noise. Where are we? There we go. Different you know, chisels, and this is one of my favourites, the rounded one. You can pick them up for a couple of quid, you know, on these Chinese things. I use these, which I need to clean off before I start work again today. I've got a packet. I've had these for ages. These are the Army Painter ones, but you know, any of these type of implements that push and shove putty around. I've got my own little pin in a wooden dowel which I use quite often for all my other putty work, so that's been useful. Drilled a hole which will need to be just put some glue in there to clean it out, but there's a hole drilled in there. Cleaned. I will have another go on it. There's still some seam lines. Obviously, being plastic, it does actually clean the seam lines off too much. It doesn't get too frayed, but I'll run glue around that as well, see if I can melt off some of the frayed stuff. As I say, I intend to weather these in any of the films, not just Cassian's, but whether they had slings. I'm putting a sling on this just so I can give the figure a, you know, he's got these weapons. I didn't want it in the hand, like, you know, like that type of thing. Although, might do it like that. I don't know. Or I might just do my original one, was put a sling on and have it, you know, something slung like that, or down like that. We'll see. I just thought you got the weapons, that, you know, all the little props, you might as well use it. So, and obviously, as I said to you guys before, can we get his? We'll work on that in due course. So, yeah, there we go. Got a bit. I just wanted to show you what I was doing. So you just use obviously your rubber clay shaper to smooth things over, and then I'll take a light piece of sandpaper, wet and dry, and just lightly sand the figure. I'm not trying to take paint off. Just give it something for my lacquer primer to key to. That's good enough for me. A couple of coats on that should be fine. And then we'll be. This is obviously when it's all filled. It's going to take probably another couple of sessions to fill it and then smooth out any rough areas. Although if you put your water on your clay shaper, it smooths it out a fair amount anyway. Yeah, next time you see him, he should all be filled. Just thought I'd show you the tools and you know, what I'm actually meant by filling everything in. Hello tubes, it's back with a quick update. As you can see, I've just literally this minute put some primer on. Let's see if we can get in a bit closer. Sorry for the shaky cam. As I say, this whole video on this particular project is a bit shaky. Apologise for any background noise. You can guarantee they've been quiet while I've been doing the priming, and all of a sudden the nail guns and everything are out again. So that's what it looks like primed. There's the odd mould line, which I'm going to take care of in a minute, and then give that a fresh primer over. I may do a white and black pre-shade on it as well, I'm not sure yet. Let's just reach over. Sorry, again, these are all shaky cam. There we go. So this is obviously I can never. That's good. Look, it's gone off. Is Ayadu, Planet Ayadu costume. I believe though that's when he's got that hat on and his goggles, because didn't he just have this Parker on in Jeddah when they were trying to get the Kuiper crystals? Oh, stop the Kuiper crystals. One of the two anyway. They were in Jeddah. Was it Jeddah? I believe the collar, if I was doing this again on this particular figure, I would raise the collar up on his shirt, or his tunic. It's actually a tunic. Might have just raised that up very slightly. It looks on the film stills a bit bigger. Couple of mould lines. Some I'm going to leave on. I don't really think they're worth bothering with. And there's one on his hat, on his gauntlets there. I might have to sort out. I actually think he looks better in grey than he did with that rubbishy paint job that they put on. Let's just hope that my rubbishy paint job is just slightly better than theirs. But that's the whole idea. You can see there is still some marks where the putty's been. It's probably me rushing it than anything. However, I do believe after painting over putty on so many other projects, I can't see why that won't blend in a fair bit. Now, when I was looking last night on his Parker, on the film stills, depending on what they've actually lighted it, I suppose, on the film set, or you get, or post-production, it's not as dark. I mean, obviously, if you're going to be on Ayadu in that night scene when they're going up and trying to rescue Jin's father, that was all done at night, wasn't it? So obviously it's going to be dark. So this one, I'm putting this more like in, is it? I think it's Jeddah. Is it? It's called with the hypercrystal when they went on that planet. They do a lovely Saw Gerrera as well. I'd really like that one, if possible. But again, I'll only buy them when they're really cheap, because what I'm doing to them, you know, I'm turning them into statues that I can afford to have my own 6-inch statues. That makes sense, rather than the 1 in 12, not 1 in 12, 1 in 6 scale ones where they're huge and they're costing hundreds and even thousands of pounds. And then if you convert them, it's a lot of money to to chop up and everything. Whereas these guys, as I say, I understand the purists out there that love their action figures say, "Oh my life, what has he done?" But I you know, to me, it's given me a decent sized figure. It's not a 3D print. I don't have to worry about if I do sell one on that I'm breaking some copyright or whatever of not selling them on all this rubbish. Yeah, it's just going to give me a lot of fun, this project. So again, thanks Mars, if you're out there. Gave me the kick up the bum to get this. I've had the 2 figures. I say the one, which is Blaze Madhu, who's also on the Rogue One. He's the one with the big machine gun. Well, it's not machine gun, is it? But he has that big pack on his back that is linked up to it, like a Star Wars version of a Gatling gun, really. Yeah, I've got him, but the life of me, I don't know where. I mean, we only live in a tiny house. Where my wife's put the damn thing, I've no idea, and she's in Australia for a couple more weeks, so I'm not bothering asking her. I'll keep searching around. It's no rush anyway. I'm just going to take me a couple of weeks to get this one done. So this will be a complete brush painted. I'm not airbrushing any of this. I've got no problems people airbrushing and stuff. I just like to brush paint my figures. So from head to foot, he'll be like you've seen my busts and stuff. But yeah, it's going to look good, I'm hoping. I've seen several. I've been on the internet. I can't afford any, although I have got one. I must admit, I've got one bid on a loose one with no box. Which, I mean, the box don't bother me. It's going to be created into a statue anyway. So as long as it comes with all the bits, so I can pick and choose what I want. I don't think I'll get him though. It was on a really low bid, and I put my bid on, and I have a nasty feeling when it comes to the last minute, I'll lose it. But I've got enough to be going on with. So yeah. I think I might upload this whole section of videos because it's going to take me weeks or a couple of weeks to get this painted, and I can't have it all clogging up my computer. So I'll probably put this up, and then we'll follow it up with the painting. So thanks for stopping by and taking a look. Sorry there's no face to camera intros and outros, if that's a real word. I just did this on the cuff, and I just thought, well, why not? You know, Mars had done that one of his. It wasn't a Black Series figure. It was just a remote control R2D2. But I just wanted to show what you can do. You know, if you're happy enough to gum up joints with putty, what you can actually get for this one was £10 and £3. I might have even got this one. I think somebody must have had a job because he was new. I think somebody might have just been trying to sell them all off. He or she bought maybe too many and couldn't shift them. And I believe I even got free postage with that. I mean, since then, whenever I look, then you know you're going to be looking for a cheap one, depending on what you're after, obviously. And you're not going to get. I doubt you're going to want to get something really expensive just to do what I've done. But I'll go probably 10 to 16 quid, depending on what. And that includes, I prefer to include postage. So I think there'll be a few more to come if this does it okay with the paint. The only thing I'm going to do differently than what I don't do with my my busts and display figures for historical stuff is I don't varnish those, but I will probably put a matte varnish over this guy just to protect him more because of the soft nature, like the rubberized plastic in that. And if I do want to put that hat on him, just even if it's just for photos, I really don't. I've got a feeling it'll probably rub some of the hair and I'll have to do a repaint. But we'll see. That's a bridge. That's a bridge to cross later on. So thanks for, if you've enjoyed this, thank you very much. I'll say I know it's a bit off topic. Well, it isn't for me. I do figures, but all of us that like Star Wars think that everybody else likes Star Wars, and they don't, which Disney's finding out, I think. But there's a, you know, I'll never get to see the Disney shows on the you know, because we don't have a pay for view thing, so I'll never get a chance to see them. So I got a cheap Mandalorian annual last year or the year before, just for £3 or £4, and so I could just see what it was all about and get a feel for the characters and the costumes and stuff, just so when I come around to doing something like that I know who people are, because I only know them from the films and the books and some of the comics I occasionally get. So anyway, look after yourselves. A million thanks for your support. It really has meant a lot over these last few weeks, so thank you very much. And if you fancy doing something like this, why not have a go? What have you got to lose? I mean, whether you hand brush them, airbrush them, you know, 10, 15 quid's worth of plastic. I've used a here we go again. I'm sorry guys, I just right on the edge of the desk. This is all I've used. This is actually white. It was going to go on later on, but I'll probably run out of time. But I use AK Interactive White Primer, but you can use a rattle can if you haven't got, obviously, an airbrush. I just find the airbrush gets into, and there's not so much wastage of paint. That's why I use it. But I put lacquer on because I haven't, although I've given it a rub over with sandpaper, it was just to key the lacquer. I've not tried to remove the paint. This is all what they call it, a proof of concept. So any problems I arrive at, I'll be able to, next time I do another figure, I can hopefully change things around. So yeah, let's see where this one goes, and if it goes okay, we'll get another one started. See you soon.